We used to believe technology creates more jobs than it destroys, that every machine makes life easier, and every wave of automation opens new doors. The steam engine did, the internet did, even social media created a new species, the influencer. But AI isn't here to create, it's here to replace. It doesn't need a salary, it doesn't need sleep, it doesn't ask for days off or union rights, so companies call it the future of work, investors call it the next industrial revolution, but workers just call it unemployment. Because if robots make everything and no one's left with money to buy it, who pays for the unemployed, you can automate labour, but you can't automate demand. Even the smartest machine still needs someone to afford its products. Everyone says AI makes us more productive. But nobody seems to ask productive for who? For companies, yes. For the people doing the actual work, not so much. AI doesn't make humans faster, it simply replaces the need for them. It's like saying tractors made farmers more efficient, sure, by making most of them disappear. Every new system is sold as a tool. But one update later, that tool becomes the worker. AI drafts your report, writes your code, designs your logo, and your only job left is to click approve. We call that progress. But if machines do all the work, what's left for us to add? At some point, productivity stopped meaning doing more and started meaning needing fewer humans to do it. That's the quiet shift we never voted for. Efficiency became the new religion. Meetings about productivity now have no people, just dashboards. Success isn't about how many employees thrive, but how many you can remove while profits still rise. This is the illusion numbers go up, graphs look cleaner, but behind every upward line is a downward story of people quietly optimized out of existence. And on the surface, it works. The numbers look great, charts go up, investors clap. But deep down, it's a strange kind of progress, a world that keeps producing more by needing fewer people to exist in it. When a company replaces workers with AI, it doesn't just remove people, it removes paychecks, and paychecks are what keep capitalism breathing. You can't have a market economy when the market itself goes unemployed. A robot can build a car, but it can't buy one. An algorithm can trade stocks, but it can't pay rent or groceries. For decades, we called consumer spending the engine of growth. But what happens when the driver no longer has a job? The irony is brutal. Every company that automates to save money is quietly cutting the same customers it depends on. Each layoff makes the balance sheet prettier and the economy weaker. Because money doesn't vanish, it just stops circulating. And that's the hidden cost no one puts on the chart. An economy that looks efficient on paper but slowly starves itself in practice. The machine keeps running, even as the people who built it can no longer afford what it produces. Think about it. Wages are the bloodstream of demand. When millions lose their income, that circulation freezes. AI makes production infinite, but consumption finite. We'll have abundance without buyers, supply without salaries, the store full of goods and no wallets left to open them. Economists call it technological unemployment, but it's really a slow financial collapse disguised as efficiency, a world where GDP grows while households shrink, where profits rise but paychecks die. It's progress without participation, a future where the numbers improve even as the lives behind them fade. And sure, AI will make someone rich, the ones who own it. But if only a few people earn and everyone else earns nothing, what's left to sell and who's left to buy? That's the paradox. No spreadsheet can fix, AI can automate labour, but it can't automate demand. And when demand disappears, so does the economy. When work disappears, the paycheck disappears, but bills don't. So who pays? Governments, corporations. The machines themselves, politicians promise an easy fix, universal basic income, free money for everyone funded by the taxes of an economy that no longer needs people to earn it. It sounds fair, until you ask who's actually paying for it. If companies profit from automation, should they pay a robot tax? If governments print more money, does it just inflate the cost of surviving? And if AI creates wealth but doesn't share it, are we heading for capitalism without consumers or socialism without jobs? We've tried the experiment. In Texas and Illinois, pilot programs gave people $1,000 a month. For a while it worked, stress went down, health went up. Then prices rose, savings vanished, and the promise faded, because giving money isn't the same as giving direction. The deeper truth is this: we've built an economy that rewards owners, not earners. AI didn't create that imbalance, it just made it impossible to ignore. And it's not just about wages anymore. When AI takes over labor, it quietly rewrites the flow of value. The hours once traded for money are now replaced by data algorithms and compute power resources only a few can own. So while workers lose income, corporations gain leverage. The loop of human contribution closes, and the loop of machine efficiency tightens. The rich say, let the market handle it. The poor say, let the government handle it. But what happens when paying people to exist becomes the only thing keeping the system alive? At that point, money stops being a reward for work and starts being a subsidy for survival. And when no one's left to pay the unemployed, the market starts paying for itself until it can't. But the question of who pays doesn't end with money. In the age of AI, payment itself is changing. When labour disappears, ownership becomes the new income. The ones who control the models don't just replace workers, they replace the way value flows. Because when money no longer passes through people, it flows through property, and whoever owns the code owns the cash. The future everyone imagined was one where machines worked for us. But the one we're building looks more like machines working instead of us. AI doesn't just automate tasks, it automates power. Every algorithm, every dataset, every model becomes a new kind of asset. And the people who own the code will control everything it touches. That's the quiet revolution no one voted for. In the old economy, labour created value. In the new one, capital does. You don't need a workforce when you have a model that scales itself. You just need servers and someone to collect the profits. So the world splits. On one side, the AI owners, the few who control the systems, the patents, the platforms, they don't need to sell their time, they rent out intelligence itself. On the other side, the AI dependents, everyone whose skills were replaced, whose only source of income is a monthly deposit from governments trying to keep the peace. And there's a third group too, the invisible workers behind the machines, data labelers, content moderators, gig coders, paid cents to train systems that will one day replace them. They keep the illusion of smart alive while barely surviving themselves. The middle, the teachers, the analysts, the clerks, the drivers, slowly disappears. The economy becomes top-heavy like a pyramid balanced on its tip. And with every new leap in automation, the gap widens. The rich no longer need workers. And the poor no longer have leverage, because in this new economy, intelligence isn't the tool, it's the territory. Whoever owns the code controls the map. It's not a labour market anymore, it's a hierarchy of access. AI promised equality of knowledge, but it's creating inequality of reach. The next divide won't be between nations or classes, it'll be between those who own intelligence and those who serve it. Because intelligence is no longer what you learn, it's what you possess. And when knowledge becomes property, creativity becomes permission. The line between innovation and control starts to blur, until progress itself feels like something you have to subscribe to. And the more intelligence becomes private, the less freedom remains for everyone else. We wanted a world where AI worked for us. But what we're building looks more like one where we're working to keep the AI running. Maybe the real cost of AI isn't unemployment, it's the quiet loss of purpose. For centuries, our worth came from what we built and gave back. Work wasn't just income, it was identity. But what happens when that reason disappears? When the things that once proved our value, effort, skill, creativity? Economists keep asking who pays for the unemployed, but maybe the harder question is, what happens to a society when paychecks vanish? Because if existence becomes a cost, then compassion turns into accounting. Survival becomes a subsidy. AI will make us faster, richer, more capable. But it can't tell us why any of that matters. Logic can be copied, emotion can be trained, but purpose can only be lived. Maybe the future isn't about saving jobs, it's about saving the reason to keep going. The machines will optimize, the markets will adapt, but the human bill, the cost of forgetting why we matter, will still come due. Because in the end, AI doesn't erase humanity. It challenges us to remember what being human was ever for. And maybe that's where the next story begins, if work no longer defines us. What will